Hello, boys and girls. Let's continue with the story, please. Seeds of Change. If you could please go to page 290, 291, please. Okay, let's look at the illustration, boys and girls. And that is a big change from the other illustrations that we've been seeing. As you can see, all the trees, they've been cut down. Instead of a lot of green, we see a lot of brown. And these women here, they're pointing and they don't look happy, boys and girls. Let's see what's going on in the story, please. Wangari watched sadly as her government sold more and more land to big foreign companies that cut down forests for timber and to clear land for coffee plantations. Native trees such as cedar and acacia vanished. Without trees, birds had no place to nest. Monkeys lost their swings. Tired mothers walked miles for firewood. When Wangari visited her village, she saw that the Kikuyu custom of not chopping down the mugumo trees had been lost. No longer held in place by tree roots, the soil streamed into the rivers. The water that had been used to grow maize, bananas, and sweet potatoes turned to mud and dried up. Many families went hungry. Wangari could not bear to think of the land being destroyed. Now married and the mother of 3 children, she worried about what would happen to all the mothers and children who depended on the land. We must do something, Wangari said. Wangari had an idea, as small as a seed, but as tall as a tree that reaches for the sky. Harabi, let's work together, she said to her countrywomen, mothers like her. Wangari dug deep into the soil, a seedling by her side. We must plant trees. Many women listened. Many planted seedlings. Some men laughed and sneered. Planting trees was women's work, they said. Others complained that Wangari was too outspoken, with too many opinions and too much education for a woman. Wangari refused to listen to those who criticized her. Okay, boys and girls, let's have a discussion about what we just read. And we read that the reason that we have this illustration here, boys and girls, is because unfortunately her government sold the land. And these big companies came in and they started cutting down the trees for timber and for coffee plantations. And with the trees gone, boys and girls, the birds had no place to nest, monkeys lost their swings, and even tired mothers had to walk miles for firewood. And remember, boys and girls, when she was growing up, the custom of her people was to be respectful to all living things, plants and animals. And with the trees gone, the animals are being affected. And even that tree that she had made a promise a long time ago when she was younger to keep safe and not chop down, they've been lost. The mugumo trees had been lost. And all this, the soil, the dirt was going into the rivers, and now the rivers turned into mud and it dried up. So because there's no water, now it affects these different plants. So because the trees are gone, it affected the animals. Because the river's gone, dried up, it's affecting the plants. And remember, boys and girls, this is what she grew up respecting: the land, the plants, and the animals. And unfortunately, families went hungry. And you got to remember, boys and girls, we are reading a biography. This really happened to these people. But she could not bear to think of the land being destroyed. She knew she had to do something about this. And she had an idea. And she Wangari had an idea as small as a seed, but as tall as a tree that reaches for the sky. This, boys and girls, is a figurative language and it's an analogy. They're comparing small as a seed. So her idea is small, boys and girls, and they're comparing the word small to a seed, but as tall as the tree that reaches for the sky. So, how is that possible, boys and girls? How can her idea be small as a seed, but yet tall as a tree? So, if in that sentence they're saying her idea is small, then how can they say her idea is also big? So, I'll give you a moment to think about that, boys and girls. What ideas are coming to your head about, to your mind about her idea? So, I'll give you a second to think about it. Okay, so what did you think about? What I'm thinking is you when she's starting with something small and with the planting of a seedling. She planted one seedling. So that's small, that's something small, but when all the other women were helping her, then that one little idea that she had grew as tall as a tree. She's making that analogy because even though she had this small little, that she only planted one little seedling, but because the other women followed her idea, decided to help her, then all these other seedlings are being planted. And at the end, something so small will become something big and help her community, help her people. And well, yes, other women were helping her, but the men, boys and girls, I'm very disappointed with the men. They laughed and they sneered. Remember, boys and girls, the word sneered means that they're disrespecting you, and they were laughing at her and the other women with their ideas that they had. And the men even made a comment that planting trees was women's work and that Wangari was too outspoken. And remember, boys and girls, the word outspoken is you speak up, you say what you think, even if others don't agree with you. And boys and girls, you should speak up. You should say something. Defend yourself, defend others, speak up for yourself, speak up for others, and have too many opinions. And this one statement, boys and girls, wow, that it says too much education for a woman. Okay? Think about that, boys and girls, including the boys. How would you feel if someone told you that? Too much education for a woman. If they were speaking about your sister or your mother or your grandmother, how does that make you feel, boys and girls? I hope it makes you feel upset. It makes me feel a bit angry that this was real. This is a biography that these women that Ms. Wangari was told that she had too much education for a woman, that she was too smart for a woman. And I do not agree with that. Men and women, boys and girls, you can always learn something new every day. You can never have too much education because it's impossible for you to know everything in the world. There's always room for you to grow. There's always something new for you to learn. So that makes me very upset, boys and girls. But what I am proud of Wangari is that she refused to listen to those who criticized her. And boys and girls, I'm wondering how this makes you feel. That even though they were laughing at her, disrespecting her, she refused to listen to those who criticized her. And let's look at the word criticize, boys and girls. And criticize is that someone disapproves of you, they're judging you. So she refused to listen to those individuals. So how does that make you feel? You know, when you hear that she stood up against all that. What do you picture? What do you imagine? What do you see? And for me, boys and girls, what I picture is just that, like, that one person that stands up for what's right, even though no one else might be standing up with you, but you're the one taking charge. You're the one that's going to make a difference. So I'm very proud that she did that, and I admire her for doing that. And again, boys and girls, this is a biography. Um, this is her story. This is what happened in her life. Well, thank you, boys and girls. We'll continue just a bit.